Guys, welcome to the Monday Market Monitor. My name is Jerry Miller. Thank you kindly for joining us. We are live in Charlottesville, Albemarle County, Central Virginia, the Commonwealth, the country, and the world on the I Love CVille Network. The Monday Market Monitor is powered brightly by Segura Solar. It's powered by Charlottesville Settlement Company and Allied Property Management, and of course our friends at Yes Realty Partners. Today's show is going to be absolutely fantastic. Emily Funk, just a fantastic person and good friend of this network. You will see and meet her yet again in a matter of seconds. Nikki Chambless, a team leader at Keller Williams and just a fabulous realtor. You will see her in a matter of moments as well. And of course, the distinguished gentleman who's looking quite dapper and distinguished this morning. Judah Wickower is our director, studio camera. Judah Wickower. And good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good
Cheers,
morning.
everybody. Prost.
Cheers, cheers, cheers.
More caffeine.
I love it. Emily Funk, you are in the spotlight, and people are really getting to know you, and once they get to know you, they very much enjoy your company.
Well, thank you.
Absolutely. Introduce yourself to everybody that's watching.
My name is Emily Funk. I am a realtor and client care coordinator for Yes Realty Partners. I am also a home stager. I have 3 kids, and we have been in Charlottesville now for 12 years and absolutely consider this our forever home.
Fantastic. Nikki, you are quite popular as well. For everyone that's watching, introduce yourself.
It's the jacket.
Are now in a band? Did I see that correctly?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
I mean,
Yeah.
tell us a little bit about that.
Cake fight. So, you meet people in music here around town, and sometimes they reach out and say, hey, I'm going to try to start a thing. Do you want to do it? And it's really cool. I mean, we're all adults who have jobs and kids and families and stuff. And so, we're not like doing this full time, but it's really fun. And we're working on building up a full set list so we can start playing out. It's really exciting.
It. Renaissance woman, realtor, team leader in a band. This is going to be awesome today in the program. Keith Smith.
And a mom, because I met your son for the first time on Friday.
2
Pretty
kiddos.
awesome. Awesome young man.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Yes. I kind of like him.
Yeah, you'll keep him around.
He's all right.
You'll keep him around most of the time.
Most of the time.
Well, he's a 15-year-old boy, so,
No, he's great.
and Mrs. Funk knows a little bit about
Yes,
15-year-old young men. And also, so look, as we usually start our Monday morning market monitor out with, we kind of take a look at what happened the last week, and then I kind of pull a little bit what happened about a month or 2 ago, and this time I pulled the same week 2 months ago. And it's an interesting trend, and hopefully it's one that's going to be moving forward. The last week and the last 7 days, we had 70 new homes come on the market within the car footprint. We had 81 go off, so we're just about on par. To put it in perspective, 2 months ago, we also had 70 come on, but we had 123 go off. So I'd love to ask the 2 experts a little bit about this and see what they think and see the folks in the feed. But to me, we're getting a little bit back on balance. And I think it was Dan asked last Monday, where did these actives come? So I printed out where they came on, and hopefully in the conversation will come up where the trend of the houses are coming on. But we're getting back on a balance, which kind of is going to lead to what I have Emily here for is, we're coming up on the holiday season. Should we decorate our house? Should we put our house on the market or not? But we're going to get to that in a minute. So,
Ooh, that's a good topic. Like festive for the holiday?
Yeah.
That's a very good topic.
But Nikki, what do you think about these numbers?
So I think those numbers are sounding really great. I meet every Tuesday with a good group of my agents, and I ask them what they're seeing, and they're still seeing not enough houses.
Sure.
So those numbers sound great, but I don't feel like I'm seeing it on a week-to-week basis yet as improvement for, and these are not brand new, not that totally, these are people who have been doing this for years, who know
Sure.
what they're doing.
Sure.
And if they're still struggling, to me, I'm like, and maybe that's more of a sign of what's about to happen.
Correct. I mean, the reality of it is we are tracking them here on the Monday Market Monitor week over week.
Yeah.
And I picked that on purpose to try to figure out week over week and then have a forever recordation of our conversation. No nervous. It's okay.
No pressure.
No pressure
At all.
But the reality of it is we're starting to get to a balance, at least this week, somewhat of a balanced market of simply watching units come on and units go off. Now, there's much more nuances to it than that, but at the high level, that's kind of the reason I wanted to track them. So we'll see. And when we get to Emily here a little bit later, I'm starting to see the interest of people wanting to sell and wanting to buy tick up.
Oh, yeah. Here's the question, though. And Emily, jump in the mix here.
Sure.
Who is going to list their home or put their home on the market 2.5 weeks before Thanksgiving?
And that's exactly the reason.
It's going to happen after the first, sorry, Siri, it's going to happen after Christmas, after New Year's when it's going to happen. What do you think?
Unless people have a very compelling reason to need to move.
Okay.
So let's
during the holidays, Emily.
Right, yes, it happens.
It does happen. It does happen.
Well, let's look at it a little bit here. If we put the house on the market, you probably will get it sold. You probably won't close it at this point.
Until next year, Q1.
Until next year, right? So understanding that's maybe a possibility. Let's, Emily, just jump in here a little bit. Hey, we're going to put our house on the market. Everybody's decorating for Christmas. Should I do it? Should I not do it? If I do it, what does it look like? So from your four certificates?
Yes.
4 licenses on staging.
So ideally, if you're going to put your house on the market during the holidays, ideally you don't want to do any decorating until photos have been taken. And the reason that's important is because if you do not sell your house during the holidays, it will date the photos in the MLS. So we don't want to put a timestamp on them. Right, exactly. We don't want to put a distinctive timestamp based on seasonal decor.
Well, that even shortens the window even more, though, right? So if I understand this right, if I want to put what you're saying is take pictures of your home before you put Thanksgiving stuff up or before you put Christmas stuff up. So that means that's like next week.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, I mean, it would be a quick turnaround. And even then, once you have your photos taken, it's best to decorate with a light hand for the holidays for many reasons, but especially because people are looking at the house. We want them to fall in love with the space, not your fantastic decorating.
Christmas tree.
Right. We want them focused on the space so that they can connect with the space, not all of the things in it.
So a very simple minimalist approach would be the best way to go for that.
Absolutely. Put up your tree, put up some stockings, call it a day, which is also going to be easier because when your house does go under contract and you got to start packing up, you don't have to worry about packing up all the extra Christmas decor too.
Yeah, I'm confident Mrs. Smith would not be able to do that. It would be very well decorated and to do that. But that's an interesting thing. I did not know that. We buy and sell houses quite a bit during the holidays. And generally, they're folks that are going Christmasing someplace else, right? So they're not setting up their houses for Christmas or for Thanksgiving. I didn't even think about that, taking pictures prior to doing that. That makes all the sense in the world on that end of it. So don't over-decorate is what I'm hearing. Minimalist is take pictures before you do it. Yes. Any other great pearls of wisdom?
Well, we're going to get to this topic, I think, later, but if you are going to be listing your house and it's not during the holidays, absolutely give yourself the gift of time right now and start slowly working toward the items you know you need to check off your list in order to get it ready to market in the spring.
Mustache Dan Pettit, you ladies are going to appreciate this. Dan, I'm enjoying seeing you around Boar's Head, by the way. He says, good morning, better looking guest on the show today. Reference to Emily and to Nikki right there. Dan Pettit, the real estate tree.
See, there's a reason I don't invite him to come on.
I think Dan very much likes to zing you.
Oh, you think, maybe?
I think he likes to zing you, and I like Dan quite a bit.
Because he zings me.
No, I like Dan. He's a racket sports aficionado. That's one of the reasons I like him. So, Nikki, what's on the brain here? Jump in here. Any topic you want to go on?
Well, see, my brain went to that whole spring thing because truly now is the time to be thinking about that. I don't know if that's where we want to go or not, but Emily's on point. Like, that is... Now is the time. Because
so what are we talking about specifically? Are we talking about renovations? Are we talking about painting? What are we talking about one should be doing. If we're agreeing that we're not putting the house on during the holidays and we're going to put it on in the spring, and everybody that I'm talking to in the trades, in the space, spring is starting January 1. Everybody's predicting spring is starting January 1. So that means you have between now and January 1 to do whatever you need to do to your home, hire a trusted advisor, and then bring in a stager and somebody to help. So what are the things we need to be tackling?
Well, I think bringing that trusted advisor in now is important. Bring them in now, set up a plan, and then do the plan. Truly, take the advice that's been given. It's your house, it's your home sale, but there's a reason you're asking for somebody else who's an expert on it, right? So I think it just depends on that situation, but start tidying up now. It's the holidays, it's chaos. Packing up a few things in boxes now is only going to make your holidays better, right? You're already bringing in a bunch of other crap into your house. We all know that's what's about to happen, right? So make life easier, clear out some clutter now.
As Donna Patton says, you get serious buyers during the holidays. I've written offers the day before Christmas in the past. This is the time to shine. Donna Patton, thank you for watching the program. Nicholas Erpy says, good morning to everybody that's watching the program. He's the Merchant Financial Services CMO. More questions coming in. William Clark just shared the show. So this question, Bill McKenzie, hello. Gwen Verone, hello. Kelsey says, it seems like the spring market is starting earlier and earlier now. Is there even a spring market, or is it just one big season?
Well, that's what I was just saying. I think January 1 starts the spring season. So basically, you just got the holidays, and then that's it. Ladies?
I think that's absolutely correct. I mean, and especially with low inventory the way it is now, I don't think it's really going to slow down a lot. And as soon as inventory starts coming available, people are going to be jumping on it.
What do you think, Nikki?
I think give me just a little bit more wiggle room is all I'm asking. Just a little bit. And I think some people out there feel that way. So I think there will be those.
What do you mean by more wiggle room?
Well, you're saying spring market starts January 1st. And I think there are enough people who have it in their head. Just in meeting with people talking about listing their home, they have it in their head that like April is the magical time. And it's like, oh no, it's not.
Not anymore.
But when they give that pushback enough, it's going to impact, even if you talk them into like March, be like, hey, really, your house can go in March. It's better to do it then.
So why should I sell my home now? Right? Why should?
Well, it depends. Why do you want to sell your home?
No. Let's assume that I can make a decision.
Yeah.
Right. Of either selling it now or waiting to January 1. Right.
You have a deep buyer pool and you have very little competition on the market.
Seriously.
Less competition.
Absolutely. And there are buyers out there.
As Donna said, the buyers are out there that are looking
Yes.
during this stuff are serious. Any transactions we've ever done in the holidays, they were ready to go, ready to do what they needed to do on that stuff. And you know, I'm reading from an article I just read from Realtor magazine about this, and they have a thing here which I thought was a strange thing from Realtor magazine. The best agents are always up to the challenge. Literally, that was in Realtor magazine, and I went, really? Okay.
You mean the challenge of doing this during the holidays?
I guess doing it during the holidays. I don't know.
Agents don't just like take off in November and December and go to Hawaii or something.
I don't know. It's literally in bold. It says the best agents are always up for the challenge. Okay.
That's probably true in any month. I mean,
you know, Realtor magazine, yay! But the big thing in here, the takeaway that I got from that article was the staging for, and I think if anybody who's watching either today or listening down, like that piece of information that you gave about taking the photos prior, even if you have to move unstage, for lack of a better term, and take pictures and then put your Christmas stuff back, that makes a lot of sense. So can we get into Buckingham a little bit?
Let's do it. Buckingham County.
I've been excited about these numbers. So I sent numbers out to everybody to do this stuff, but just a quick overview on that. Currently, right now, there's only single-family detached homes active. There's only 15 available in all of Buckingham County. Now, we were talking about Lake Monticello only have 8 or 9 or 10. This is a whole county only has 15. The list, the minimum list price is $135,000. It goes up to the highest end of it, $800,000. But the median list price is $349,000. And what has sold in the last 12 months, 77 units sold, 11 days on market, right at 200,000. So Jerry's been talking about this forever, and I finally listened to it, and I finally done some numbers on it. You know, if you want something at or below 200 grand, that's where the market is. So any
Absolutely.
thoughts on that, Nikki?
No, I think you're absolutely right. I've definitely worked with quite a few buyers looking to buy and a couple of sellers in Buckingham. And it really, a lot of it, it's about the price. Sometimes it's about the lack of HOAs and some of the county regulations. That
Sure,
type of thing is very
sure.
attractive. But as far as that price point, that's the place to go.
Well, in 3 years, the same year, between 18 and 19, the median sales price was 140, and it jumped up in the last 12 months to 200. It was a 60 grand increase. And oh, by the way, huge difference in days on markets. Back 2 years ago, back in 18 and 19, it was 70 days on market versus 11. So clearly, Jerry was spot on. The market is moving out that way. But off air, before the mics went hot, we were talking about Scottsville, and I never really realized it
Yeah.
until you said it, that it has 5 jurisdictions in this one area. So you want to talk a little bit
Well, so
about
there are
that?
3 counties that are Scottsville.
Excuse me, 4. I
So
apologize.
Scottsville is Albemarle County, Fluvanna County, and Buckingham County. So if you pop that up on Google Maps and look up the town of Scottsville, it's going to encompass 3 different counties, which a lot of times people don't realize, but you're just at this little area, that bridge, once you cross it, you're in Buckingham. If you're not familiar with that bridge, you should go down and visit Scottsville sometime. It's great for rafting on the river. That's my little Scottsville plug. There are other great things there too. So no, it's a really neat little place. It's also another potential for a price point change from Charlottesville, at least, but not quite as low as Buckingham County. So, and it's 18 miles south on 20. If you're at the interstate, it's only 18 miles away.
So the interstate where 20 hits 64.
64, mhm.
Got it. So I did not know that it was
Yeah.
only 18 miles. You look, I pulled another article that I wanted to, posted it this morning, and it kind of dovetailing back a little bit to Emily and talking about the conversation of getting my home ready for the market, right? It was an article that was put in Housewire, which is an industry thing. There's between 300,000 to 400,000 open construction positions per month. Just think about that.
That's mind-boggling.
Yeah.
There
say that again.
there are currently 300.
That's also terrifying.
Well, so that means they can't find people to work, and
It
we've
means
been
prices are going to go up. Work won't get done.
Timelines drag out.
Yeah,
Time.
So
that's terrifying.
So why you need a trusted advisor and you need somebody like Emily to come in and look at that is now, okay, we made a decision to paint our thing. We have a plumbing leak in my house. Jonas says, how come you can't fix it? But that's a whole different story. But, we called the plumber that we've been using for forever, and he says, look, I'm 3 weeks out.
Oh, wow.
This is just to fix a very simple toilet that's leaking.
So what are you doing? Letting the water run?
No, I'm going to go fix it this evening.
Okay, gotcha.
I was like, I have a couple of videos on changing out
No.
toilets, I'm just saying.
I have this whole Class A license. I'm actually a master plumber.
And what plumber's
thought
going to
so.
come for like a toilet leak when he has like 18 other jobs that are much more, robust in cost?
Well, the only way that's going to happen is relationships, right?
Yes.
People that you've been working with forever that remember when the downturn was there, that you took care of them when the downturn was there, and then the great time of great unpleasantness, and to go in it. But I read this morning, and it just shocked me because Jerry and I have been talking about this forever. The material shortage is going to change. We will end up getting that back on track. This 300 to 400, this is nationwide, 300,000 to 400,000 open construction position on a monthly basis. This is per month. This is not a year. This is on a monthly basis. They're short. That's a huge number, and that is going to impact the cost of construction or the cost of new construction more than materials will, in my standpoint. But it made me think of what we were going to talk about today was, assuming we were going to get there, like, okay, hire a painter, right? Hire somebody. And these seem to be simple tasks, but if there's nobody working, what do we do?
So the best thing I can say is that once you have established a relationship with the realtor, and if you know a stager, you don't even have to wait that long. You can talk to a stager first because they can help you prioritize the things that are going to help sell your home. Decluttering, of course, is huge, but stagers are trained to help pick out the pieces of your home that are going to make it marketable and help those shine. So the more time you can give yourself to address making those places the best they can be in order to market this asset, the better off you are in the long run.
Well said. Well said.
So let's talk about decluttering. What does that exactly mean?
Well, and I actually like to call it thoughtful editing because, there are not everyone has clutter, some of us do, but it speaks to depersonalizing partly because, again, we want people to focus on the space and not on the story of your family. So it's not necessarily, that someone's not going to buy your house because your diploma is hanging on the wall from the wrong college or they don't like your family vacation photos. It's because if they're focusing on those things, they're not focusing on the space. So depersonalizing, one of the tidbits that a lot of people don't know is that anything in a photo that is smaller than a basketball is hard to identify and reads as visual clutter in a photo. So having someone come and help pick those pieces out and direct the best visual marketing the way a store does when they're trying to sell products can help you.
How do you feel about flat surfaces and things on them?
It depends.
Okay.
You mean countertops and stuff like
All
that?
the flat surfaces, because people like to fill those up. They magically
Right.
just draw all the things.
Now I'm like visualizing my
Yes.
kitchen.
Yeah.
Right?
You
Kitchen
know.
islands and peninsulas are
Yeah.
notorious
You're
for
not allowed
that
to
sort of
come in
thing.
my I made an
People's-
awesome ziti yesterday, but baked ziti, by the way, yesterday.
Did you
so-
bring leftovers?
No.
Oh, please.
So flat surfaces, I would say people tend to either overdo or completely wipe off, which makes a space end up feeling cold. So there is a happy medium there. Visually, it's best to group things in odd numbers. So if you have one large item on a coffee table or a grouping of 3 mid-sized pieces of decor, that's your best bet. But again, if that all seems overwhelming, and it can, call in the experts.
Okay, so can I ask a very specific question?
Absolutely.
Please.
So what about the small appliances? Because we all have like an air fryer and a toaster oven and a Keurig and another coffee maker and
Right. So
might
real
be my
estate
kitchen.
on a kitchen counter is premium. So you want to clear off as much of that as possible. If you have a knife block, put that away for security reasons. If you have a coffee pot out, sure, absolutely you can leave that. If you have a row of 6 small appliances, start tucking those away in a cabinet.
yeah.
And
Makes
all
sense.
plugging into one plug. So you're taking one out, plugging one in, taking one out, plugging one in, right?
Yeah,
Not
but-
that I do that, but
Exactly.
So
you are definitely not allowed in my kitchen.
this is a question that's coming. Well, Dan, let's get to Dan. He says, with the need for construction workers, I do wonder of the quality of future homes and how they will be built. Neil Williamson shares the tax rates in Buckingham County, which I imagine are very approachable and advantageous. This is from Brian. He says, this is a tough question. We may not have the answer to this. Are there neighborhoods that we would suggest, that you guys would suggest looking at in Buckingham County?
Actually, in my research, there is a subdivision just over the bridge, and I can't remember the name of it, because I was looking what the new construction was going on in Buckingham County, particularly closer to Scottsville. And they, believe it or not, the new construction over there, they had 3s in them, right, over in that area. So I don't know particular neighborhoods. This is a whole new marketplace for us to start researching for our Charlottesville folks, just like Waynesboro is, just like some parts of Orange are at this point. Everybody's just, this rubber band is just stretching out. So we can look into that, but I just don't have the details at the moment.
Okay, we'll follow up with you on Brian.
Well,
You
I
want to
think-
jump in here?
I think really for that though, go drive around. If you're interested in Buckingham,
Oh, yeah.
go drive it. Because
Yeah.
what I think might be a great neighborhood, you might be like, oh, no, thank you. Because it's not, it's not what I think in that, really.
But I think the question really was, do you have like a Lake Monticello?
That's
out there?
what I think he's going for.
And the answer is no, right? You have these what Flavanna would call, or Louisa would call, or Albemarle County used to call rural subdivisions. They're 1 to 2 acre lots that typically have well and septic on them. They don't have public water and sewer on it because they don't have an infrastructure there to do it. So there's these rural, somebody would buy 20 acres, 30 acres, 40 acres, 50 acres, and cut it up to 20, 30, 40 lots, that kind of stuff. 2 acre lots on that end of it. So you don't have...
Do you think that's coming?
I think the infrastructure is the struggle, I think, out there. And this is really shooting from the hip here. I haven't had a chance to really dig into it, but, at the best of my knowledge, there's no real public water and sewer infrastructure throughout Buckingham County to make that happen. So it becomes a thing where you're going to be dependent on well and septic on your subdivisions at the moment.
This is an interesting comment, and you guys may, I know you probably cannot talk on this, but I do want to mention it. That's coming in the feed. It's about the schools, and it's from Catherine Cron, who says, one of the things that could hold Buckingham back is the schools. Until the schools improve, you may not see a ton of buyers, especially buyers that have kids that are younger and school aged.
So we're always the source of the source, right? We will give you the information that you can dig up and learn about the schools on your own, and then make your own decision if that is the best for you and your family. We won't suggest this
Right.
school system.
Yeah.
better
Can't
than the
talk
other.
schools, right?
But we will give you the information that you can make your own decision.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons Crozet's been so red hot. It's one of the reasons Fluvanna has gotten really red hot. The schools have improved dramatically.
Brings up a really interesting conversation, which it started on Real Talk on Friday about redistricting.
That's right.
And this actually has been blowing up on my email and my Twitter and believe it or not, I do use Twitter, my Twitter and my text all weekend long about jurisdictions trying to get their brain around this redistricting, which I'm working on a panel to talk a little bit more in depth about this. The elected officials are stuck. This may be a little wonky at this point, and Jerry, stop me if I need to stop on this end of it. But the fact that this has never happened before, that we've had an election and the state is saying by December 31st, you need to redistrict. And oh, by the way, new people are sitting on January 1. They're confused. They don't know what to do. It's a pretty interesting, this redistricting thing is going to be more of a hot button topic than the election was. But
You think so?
Based on the conversation I'm having with elected officials, they don't know what to do. They don't know if they can hold tight. Do they have to redistrict? Do they have to go through another election? Do they get to appoint people? There's some emails I'm tracking that they're confused. I think personally, and I think Sean said it on Friday, I think this might be a Commonwealth attorney's way in.
We'll follow that closely. Nikki, this question for you. Where are some of your buyers looking at from home purchasing standpoint?
Are we talking Buckingham still? What are we talking about
in
here?
general.
In general. So, in general, I no longer work directly with buyers on a regular basis at this point with my rule change. So instead, I'm helping my agents with their buyers or their needs. And I know a lot of people are just trying to find that price point and going to wherever they need to for it. So some people are trying to find things in Green. Some people are trying to find things in, Southern Albemarle or Fluvanna County. Lake Monticello is often a go-to community when people are like, hey, I need that lower price range. Buckingham County, like we just mentioned. And the thing that I always have conversations with people about there is, what is your commute needs? What time? How far are you willing to drive? What does that look like for you?
Do you need two vehicles, right?
And there's so many things to have around that conversation when we're trying to drive to a price point, and that's a challenging thing.
I'm going to be super interested to see the second Monday of January to see what these numbers are going to be. And, if there's 70 units on the market, right, that was the same 2 months ago, but our there are less buyers. So if you're a buyer right now, now's the time to start looking. Now's the time to position yourself to get something, because the pool, for whatever reason, is getting a bit shallower. And it may be the holidays. It may be, okay, we're going to take a time out to January, after the first week of January. And if you really need to buy a home, now's the time to do it, because the pool, at least last week, got skinnier. What do you think?
I think a lot of those same people who kind of took a breather at the end of summer, and we saw that some of them were just buyer fatigued. Some of those are probably going to do similar things around the holidays, but then you're going to have those who are going to do exactly what you're recommending, and they're going to see this as an opportunity.
Toss out to the feed from some of the real estate agents that are watching, if they could do that. You know, the agents that have been around for a while, what does your normal holiday traffic look like?
I would say it's substantial, right?
Yona and I have always been busy during the Christmas and Thanksgiving. We've always do multiple deals, both listings and selling. I don't know the reason why, but it just seems we're always busy during that. I think maybe because we're trying to take off and usually
Murphy's Law, Keith Smith. Murphy's Law.
You know, everybody goes, you know, what's the rule, right? If you want to sell a listing, take off. Go out of town. Go out of town. Or you want a buyer to buy, go out of town, and they want to do it. So I don't know. For the feed, Yona and I are always busy during this holidays, and it is so interesting, Emily, about this holiday thing, because I don't think, I can tell you, I don't think I've ever had a negative feedback from the home being decorated. So do you think it's a negative, or do you think it's a positive?
It depends so much. And with a lower amount of inventory right now, it's not as critical, because homes don't tend to linger on the market like they have in the past. And if we ever see that start to shift, this conversation will become even more important. But the other thing you have to consider too is that we live in a pretty diverse community. Not everybody celebrates Christmas, and we want everyone to feel welcome and to feel like this home has potential for them when they are out looking. So, not to say that a family should just not decorate. That's really hard not to get into the Christmas spirit this time of year, but maybe dial it back a little from what you would normally do.
Jamie Turner, the mayor of Gordonsville, watching the program. Have to be careful with the outlying counties. For example, Orange and Gordonsville are great to visit on the weekend, but it's pretty challenging and inconvenient to live in the area. One grocery store, lack of diversity, and nothing for children to do. And that's Mr. Gordonsville himself, Jamie Turner. Jamie Turner, well said.
Thank you, Jamie. I was just looking on the medium days on market for the pending, for the 81 pending. That's 12. It's 12 days. That's the whole car footprint. That doesn't include Buckingham, so we want to be clear. Buckingham is not in the car footprint. That's in a different MLS, but we have the ability to look into it through our data sharing agreements that we have. But 12 days on market, that's insane. You know,
Those are just the Buckingham.
No. This is the last week. This is the 81 that went pending in the last week. Any feedback on the feed, Mr.
Yes, absolutely. So this one right here is coming from the Glen. Hey, Gavin, he's watching the program. It's coming from the Glenmore Moms Group. They're walking and listening. I echo what Kelsey said earlier. If the schools are not there, we're not going to consider moving to a community or a county that can't support our children. That's something you guys need to highlight on this show, because that's going to impact buyers considering Buckingham County for home purchases. I think that's a really good comment right there. The research you can do online, these fantastic folks they can provide you information, but that information is up to you to digest, and they're doing their jobs the right way by being the source of the source. I agree. Until the schools uptick, you may see a not headwinds with Buckingham County.
Yeah, but you also have joked around, but it was true. I made ziti, had my mother and father over for dinner. They're in the 80s, early 80s. I think I just got myself in trouble. Mom isn't quite 80 yet. My father's over 80. My mother watches. That's the reason I need to make sure that we do that. But we started having this multi-generational conversation. they're in a home that is 20-something years old. Now's the time to sell it. Now's the time to cash out on it. The home needs a new HVAC system. It needs a new roof. It needs.
So they're moving in with you.
No, I thought it was you.
Your parents aren't moving in with me. I can say that with confidence.
Yeah, no, we're having that conversation. But if they were, not that they would move to Buckingham, but just to change the topic a little bit, that this is not necessarily families. They are literally, we had this conversation, well, maybe we should look in one of the outlying counties where I can buy something for $130,000, $140,000 for it. I have a little bit more capital because they're on fixed incomes to do that. But when you then have the conversation of, well, hold it, if you need to go to the doctors.
Exactly.
It just came up
Hospitals.
on LinkedIn. You
Yeah.
have to talk
Absolutely.
medical when talking Buckingham County.
That's
Yep.
exactly right. And where now if you're closer to Scottsville, the great news about that is you have Scottsville Rescue, Scottsville Fire that are close by. But as you start going into the deeper parts of Buckingham County, the response time goes down tremendously. But yeah, we are having that multi-generational conversation as we speak.
Well, you got two options, right? You got three options.
Yes,
Living in
and
your
yes.
basement,
Yes, yes, and yes.
retirement community, or heading to Florida.
Yes, and yes, and they're all going to be moving it. No, they won't do that. We have too many families here. There's 14 grandchildren within 5 mile. Right, they're not moving.
Donna's absolutely right. She says the problem is healthcare.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's the three common denominators that are coming up: the commute, healthcare, and schools.
That's exactly right. And that's why the other side of the mountain is working, right? Supposedly the schools are better. I can't prove that but if you look at the data, it shows that way. Healthcare is there, right? You've got Augusta Health, and you got the infrastructure in it, and the prices are right, and that's why that folks are heading to the other side of the mountain.
How about this one from Spencer, who's watching the program? He says, it seems like the range is getting larger and larger for people to purchase homes. When is Central Virginia going to turn into Farmville or beyond?
Oh, yeah, well, we're talking about growing that rubber band.
Yeah.
I think what you'll see, I may be wrong, but I think what you'll see is what they've been predicting for decades, more the Richmond Zions Crossroads connection. I think you're going to see that happening more than the South. I may be wrong. It's just because of the infrastructure, right? The road infrastructure on that end of it. But here, there's a fourth item that we need to talk about Buckingham, which just popped in my little head. What's the new utility?
You're talking fiber. And fiber's not there. And Thomas Miles, the supervisor watching the program, has been a champion for fiber and a champion, a negator of CenturyLink, who's really dropping the ball in Buckingham County. Ray Cadell, welcome to the program. So the work from home movement is going to be difficult in Buckingham County for anyone living there.
So that means they're traveling.
Yeah.
Because they're really traveling. They won't be able to work from home at this. But I mean, I know some of our buyers that are coming in. I mean, that's the first criteria, right? What is your upload speed? What is your download speed? Anybody plug in on the question on did they sell? What's their sales volume during the?
Not yet. Ask the question again.
Yeah. So for some of the realtors out there, what do you normally see historically during the holidays? Yona and I tend to do very well with sales and listings at that point. Just curious if any other realtors, Dan the Man, might know, or anybody in there to go ahead and chime in.
I think Kevin Higgins has got a question. Do you think Youngkin's push on charter schools impacts real estate at all? Well, that's a good question, Kevin Higgins.
Boy, I'll tell you what. That's a great question. Wouldn't know how to answer it right now. Right, that's one of these things you gotta do some research on that end of it. I think this whole transition is going to be a bit eye-opening for everybody across the board.
So, Nikki, January we're thinking potentially more real estate as people getting their homes on the market come holiday season. When do you start seeing the market become balanced and we start seeing more listings on the market than those that are going independent?
See, that's a really challenging question because there aren't solutions to the problems that are causing this, really. I mean, the people who need to move can't afford to buy the next house or don't have another house to buy, so those two are potential challenges, right? The new construction at this point isn't able to keep up, right? They're building, and that's great, and yet we still have low inventory. So I don't know. I want that to happen. I just wish I had some answers for that.
What do you think, Emily?
I think Nikki's right. There are a lot of challenges right now, and I hope the spring market will start to balance that out some, but as to when that might happen, gosh, I hope sooner than later, but I don't know.
Upzoning in Charlottesville, do you think that's going to change some things, Keith? No, neither do I.
No.
I think
Was that too short of an answer?
I think you're looking at a perpetual seller's market throughout 2022 and into 2023.
Yeah, I think you'll see it. Look, it'll be more balanced, right? If that makes any sense. It's not going to be, 2 times coming off. If we end up with a balanced market, that will be awesome on that end of it. But, I just keep on reading this headline over here. Should I sell my home now or wait until the spring? And I can't help but think if you really want to be in the market, now's the time to do it. So Emily, with interest, I know you're personally trying to do something similar to this, to buy, but
you're in the game right now, Emily?
Well, I'm watching the game at the moment. But
you're thinking about jumping in the pool?
Well, yeah, when we moved back a year and a half ago, we thought, we'll just rent for a year and then buy, and then the market went crazy, and so we're just kind of holding steady. But we're very close to being empty nesters, and that changes the game for us because we don't have to worry about
extra bedrooms,
constraints of school districting. So we can go where we want to go once the kids are out of the house. So it becomes a question for us.
You think that, actually.
Well, I think she might be
Let
right.
me say when they're done graduating from high school.
So you're thinking rent for a couple years, get them out of high school, and then potential maybe townhome or smaller footprint square feet from a single family detached?
Or going out into the county and getting more space to roam around, but without worrying about taking our kids out of their schools again. So it's a very specific situation that we're in. So I'm more kind of observing what's happening right now, which will inform our decision, but not make it for us entirely.
When you get there, it's an awesome thing. Empty nesters, I love it. But it's very smart. You're smartly doing it, right? In my opinion, because if you were to buy something now that meets your needs now, then you'd have to probably recalibrate it a couple of years down the line, and the inventory's going up. But what I was trying to lead to is, if you need to move, like let's assume you needed to move, the inventory, the buyer pool's a little less, interest rates are starting to creep up, right? You couldn't, now's the perfect time to go ahead and buy that end of it. So that's why I think you're going to see a robust, I like that word, robust holiday season. I think you're going to see spring on January 1. After the first week, everybody's all recovered from their New Year's Eve, whatever things they're doing. And I'm with Jerry. I just don't see this slowing down.
Go ahead.
If I were in a position where I had to buy right now, I would be looking right now.
Yeah,
well, here's the thing.
But what are you going to
Another thought is as you're looking, because you can do that and compete and do all the things. Your big concern right now is keeping your kids in that school district. Let's just say you went and you bought that house. Your plan could then be when you move again for that next more space house. Now you've got an investment property in a school district that you felt really great about.
Absolutely.
So that could be a really solid way to expand and still have that investment with these low interest rates, and then just keep it going where you want to go, and then also have an investment property if you don't already.
Right. Yeah.
So you're trying to sell our investment properties?
I'm a huge fan of investing in real estate.
Geez,
Invest in what you know, right?
That's exactly right. Why are you a huge fan of investment property?
She has them.
Well,
I've always been a huge fan of it, though. I have a military background, and moving around and seeing other people, it's a big thing in the military to do that. You buy a house where you go, you rent it out when you get stationed somewhere else, and by the time you're retired, you've got a military retirement, and you've got investments everywhere, potentially in the world.
I'm just looking at what's active right now, and I don't know if there's anything you can buy that's at a price point that makes any sense from an investment perspective. I mean, the cheapest units I'm looking are in Louise are in the 280s.
But see, she wouldn't be buying it as an investment property.
I mean, I know where you can find an investment property if you wanted to. You go to the Villas at Southern Ridge down 5th Street Extended. I have an investment property right there. There's one on the market, and anybody that's watching, you can rent the unit that's on the market right now. And I know you can't talk specific listings, but I certainly can, because I'm not in the realtor game. And it's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. You can buy that bad boy for $180. Your mortgage on that, $180K with these interest rates, it's going to be about $1,100 and change. The monthly HOA is $165, and you could rent that for $150, $1,500, $1,600 every month, all month.
You want to hear
from here on
something
out.
scary? Just was talking to an agent.
And you have a wait list of people trying to get into that place.
I just spoke to an agent, 1-bedroom, pantops. Would you want to take a guess per month?
A 1-bedroom pantops rent?
Rent.
I'd say between $800 and $1,000.
$1,800.
Yeah.
No.
I saw it.
A 1-bedroom rental on Pantos is $1,800 a month for a 1-bedroom?
It's over right by next to Cascadia, the apartment. I can't remember the name of the apartment complex over there.
Do you get a gold bar every month when you're paying $1,800 a month?
I think you give them a gold bar.
No, 18. What's the place for that? I want to look it up on the MLS.
Yeah. Well, it wouldn't be on the MLS. This wasn't on the MLS.
What's the neighborhood? You remember?
I think it's called Avamore, right next to Cascadia.
$1,800 a month for a 1-bedroom
It's a luxury
apartment?
apartment complex over there. I think it's
Okay.
Avamore. I can't remember the name of it. But there's.
Does that come in with a
Big
concierge? Is a concierge included?
So I don't know that you're going to get me into trouble.
This is
I don't
like
know all
Kenridge, potentially.
I don't know all the details. I know what's happening. This particular person is buying in the streets, and they were just living there for a year, waiting to find the right house, and they're buying in the tree streets over in Waynesboro.
I would also consider the Woodlands or Eagles Landing if you're looking for an investment property.
Yeah.
People get scared away by the
The
larger,
HOA?
Yeah.
Eagles Landing?
Even,
Yeah,
yeah,
the HOA is a
absolutely.
little on the high side.
Why is
And it
that?
comes with a lot of, it's just the conversations I hear, the conversations I've had with buyers and investors.
Because you know and obviously you do know this, but the Eagles Landing's got individual locks on all the doors, their own bedrooms, their own bathrooms, and a shared waiting room, a shared common area.
Well, you know what that is,
It's great.
right?
Yeah, I know what that is.
It was set up to
For
be
students.
Yeah.
students, yeah.
And now it's for locals. And dude, you can rent each of those rooms. My buddy's renting those for $800 a room.
Oh, yeah.
He's getting $3,200 a month for a condo that he paid $170,000 for. That's bananas, don't you think?
I mean, I think it's great.
Right?
On one hand, it's great. On another, yeah, no, it's completely bananas.
Because you're saying it's reflective of the market we're in.
Yeah,
Which is
absolutely.
totally unfair. Kevin, prices don't make sense now. That reminds me of 2008. Does that keep you up at night, Nikki and Keith? If not, what does? Also, Emily. That's a good question.
No, the new dog keeps me up at night.
What-
No, it doesn't, because I lived through it, and none of look, the prices are high. That we get all that, but none of the mechanics of what caused 2008, 2009, 2010 is there. And I'm not Pollyannic about it. When 2008, 2009, we saw it coming. Those are in the trenches, saw it coming. My personal experience, I couldn't get out of the way because I was in debt for $17 million, but it was coming, and I tell the story all the time. When you have bankers offering you money and they're paying you to borrow money from them, you're in trouble. I will tell you, one needs to keep an eye on the loan products, right? And if things like no-doc loans start hitting the market again, then that's when I will get nervous. That'll keep me up at night. So I don't see it, Nikki.
Well, see, for me, I took that question kind of in a slightly different way, and yeah, sometimes it does keep me up a little bit because it is a challenge when I was trying to work with buyers, and there's just nothing for them, and they need to stay within a certain price point. And everybody's got full-time jobs and is reasonable and smart with their money, and they still can't get a house.
Are you trepid about a bubble?
Oh, no.
So that's what I think the question
Yeah, okay, no. See, that is not, no, I'm not.
That's where I took it.
Yeah, and that's, yeah. So I was just answering kind of the question that I feel like I heard, but however you want to answer it, but the bubble is not a concern for me. For
Yeah.
me, it's an affordable housing concern and things needing to change around that.
And that's what I'm going to speak about for 3 days in the Virginia Governor's Housing Conference.
Nice.
But Emily, right, you're in the market, right? Does this keep you up at night? Not this market? I mean, do you wonder, am I ever going to find something that meets your needs?
Sure, and that's one of the reasons that we have kind of pulled back and are watching and considering the fact that we are so close to being, maybe not empty nesters, but done with public schools, is that it opens up our options to be able to move out a little further than we would otherwise, in order to try to find something that fits our financial profile.
Dude, you explain it well. I think waiting is the approach. Because you don't have to worry about schools at all, then you can go wherever the heck you want. I mean, that sounds like you've got it figured out.
But are you worried about a bubble?
No.
Okay. And so you're just worrying about inventory coming online, and you're also probably worrying about interest rates not going too high.
Right, and demand continuing to increase without supply increasing to meet it. That's my concern.
Well, I keep this article I read about the $300,000 to $400,000 construction is really kept me up. I read this last night, and I actually woke up in the middle of the night thinking about this, because we talk about this on the show all the time, turning red tape into green tape, and it seems like the conversation is happening out there, that the jurisdictions and stuff, and maybe this new election, as far as the state level goes, might help that a little bit. But if there's nobody to build them, my fear is that one half of it gets fixed.
Yeah, then supply chains being pinched is just going to drive up prices.
And it just gets
Counterbalances.
worse. That's exactly right.
Yeah, Earl Smith has got a good comment here, and he says, yes, it's Avamore. And he says, this market's insane. And Earl Smith says, unless you have a 2-3 bedroom with 1 bath and no land, I see those stalled and taking several months. He's basically saying if you have a 2 to 3 bedroom house with 1.5 bathrooms and not much land, that he doesn't think those pieces of property are going to sell very quickly. Do you agree or disagree with that, guys?
Where?
Anywhere.
No, it's, you could just take a look at the pendings that are in there. That's currently not the case. If it meets the 5 things we talk about all the time, it's happening. It's in the right location, right price, right features, right conditions, and this is now the timing that they're moving in these 12 days.
How about this question? As realtors, how much has your overhead gone up during this time because of gas and wear and tear of your car and needing to take buyers around Central Virginia and beyond?
Whoa. Who asked that question?
That's from Dan, and that's a really good one, Dan.
Dan, great question. You want to tackle that?
So I don't have numbers, but I can tell you from what I am seeing, not just have seen for myself in the last year, but everyone else, they're definitely increasing, especially when it comes to the fuel aspect. And it's taking longer to get a buyer to find a house, so you have those same buyers that you're taking out to more places or going with to more places, which is more mileage, more gas, more wear and tear, less time left in the day. There's so much there.
What happens, and here's a follow-up question to that, Dan, that's a great question. What happens to realtors when gasoline cracks $4 a gallon?
I literally just wrote that down.
Because that's going to happen in very near future. Who wants to hit that one? I want to drive potential buyers around in a marketplace where there's no inventory in my car at $4 a gallon plus gasoline.
Plug it in, plug it in. Sorry.
Electric vehicle. That's what you're saying. All realtors are going to pivot to EVs.
No, I'm not saying they are, but that's where my brain goes is, get something that's more fuel efficient, whatever that looks like.
Yeah, but let's face it, a decent EV right now has a 60, 80 grand. Those are not inexpensive. You can get like a Bolt or something like that for the 30s and the 40,000s, but the prices really haven't come down to it. And also, what's the average real estate agent make? It's not as much as everybody thinks that they make. So that's
why not a Prius? Why not just a hybrid Prius?
Yeah, I think from a real estate agent's perspective,
I like the Prius. Yeah, Prius is good.
There's a couple things going on, right? The cost of doing business is going up, and what's also going down? The commission splits, right? right?
See, that's where you have to know your value and have a really good value you're offering, and then that's not going to happen.
That's exactly right.
Yes.
So this is really the time that you're going to have to bring your A game to the table, because there's a downward pressure or upward pressure, depending on how you want to look at it, on how we make our money, right? How we get paid, and our expenses are going up. Dan, that's a great question, right?
Well, I think a lot of people welcome that, because those who have been bringing their A game this whole time, they're happy to prove their value because they've been providing it for however many years.
Sure. And she's basically saying maybe this is going to weed out some competition. That's what you're alluding to, right?
I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah.
That's what you're alluding to.
I'm just saying.
Well, as a
there are
car
people who've
board
been
member,
bringing it.
I'm not getting into that conversation.
This comment comes in. Here's how you deal with $4 a gallon gas. You stop eating out every day, or anything to help generate that extra $30 or more a week that you're going to need to put in your gas tank.
We talked about this on the show. It was like several months ago. You and I tackled this on a Batman and Robin show, where we were talking about what was going to happen, and that's 100% right. Unfortunately,
because the work from home Zoom moniker does not apply to realtors, because you guys are going to have to get in a car and drive people around.
Well, I'm talking about in the market as a whole, in general, right? The restaurant business took it on the chin, right, in COVID.
Yes.
If I'm now spending an extra $100 a week to fill my vehicle, where is that coming from? I'm just not going to discretionary dollars. I'm not going to go out to eat as much, right? Which is going to hurt our restaurant folks. All my discretionary spending is going to go out. I'm talking about general public. As far as realtors go, it's hard for us because not only do we have to do this, but part of our job is, hey, Emily, let's go out for lunch and have a conversation. So not only we're paying $4 a gallon, we're also now, because restaurant prices are going up, right? Food's going up. It's an impact. And inflation, I think what's going to impact our business the most is inflation and this lack of skilled laborers.
Here's a good follow-up question. How many extra trips are you having with buyers to drive around Central Virginia to look at homes?
However many are needed.
There you go.
Truly.
Get the
That's
job
exactly
done.
what's happening.
But here's the flip side to that. This won't get it done, but what this does, it limits, you can sit down and have an honest conversation with your client and do your digital, what did you?
Digital curb appeal.
Digital curb appeal, whittle it down to 2 houses or 3 houses, and say, okay, guys, this is what we're going to do. We're going to work together online, right? And whittle this down. Instead of doing 8 houses, let's do 3, let's do 4, let's check these off. Everybody's got to bring their A game.
Which actually feeds back into staging, because even in a seller's market, studies have shown that staged homes get more MLS views. So if you're narrowing it down by digital curb appeal, having someone
get
come
back to you eventually.
but getting someone to help you market your home in the best light possible is going to help you stand out when that becomes the norm for people to have to rely on digital curb appeal first.
So when we talk digital curb appeal, we're talking static photos?
Static photos, videos, yeah. We want to present anyone's home in the best light possible, and there are things that people don't think about, like moving your trash cans out of the frame of the photo, just because those are not visually appealing, and it may not seem like a big deal, but it makes a difference when you compare side-by-side photos.
How about this one? How lucrative is having a drone business for selling properties right now?
Ooh. You want to tackle that?
I honestly don't know. I mean, I would imagine.
So the question is drones, right? There's not a listing that Yona and I do that does not have a drone shot.
Really? Even the entry point is using drones?
We're using drones.
You're paying for drone photography.
We're paying for drone photography.
For under $400,000.
We're paying for drone photography.
Is that the photographer that's doing the home, or is it a separate one?
No, we have one guy that does everything.
Okay.
So it's
and that makes a difference too.
But the reason why we do that?
Tell me. Look at the roof.
Exactly what Emily just said. Right? People are narrowing down their searches on here. So if you do a drone photography, and even in a subdivision like Lake Monticello, right? You know, you can see the surrounding area a little bit. It offers a little bit more visual appealing to it on that end of it. How far we are from the main gate and all these different things. But we do that. We do that on every listing. Drones.
Nikki,
it makes a difference.
What do you think about drones?
So I had not been doing them on every one, but I was doing them on the ones where it was definitely beneficial. And then that whole aspect of it gives you that broader vision. There are some listings where that doesn't help. And
Well,
in that case,
your
truly,
straightforwardness.
Yeah, but-
it's true.
but-
And that's where, as a buyer agent, you have to dig a little deeper and don't just go on the
No.
photos. Do a Google Street View.
Well,
See what's going on.
you know, okay.
I don't think
We
it's
do
a
it
bad
because
thing.
if the surrounding neighborhood may not be that appealing, they're going to see it anyway. So let's be forthright, let's be honest, let's I don't know, that's just our
I don't
approach.
disagree on that.
That's our
My
approach
thought
on it.
is I am selling that house
Yeah,
more
well.
than that neighborhood. And I think there's a balance to be had. I'm certainly not trying to hide anything.
No, I wasn't implying that at all.
No,
but,
I just wanted to say it out loud.
Yeah, I got it. But look, it goes back to if we're representing the buyer, right? And Emily and I are going to see that. We want to look as much as we can online and get as much information. Here's what's going to happen with that, Nikki. If you don't do this, what is Emily and I going to do? We're going to go to Google Earth and we're going to see it anyway.
Maybe,
So-
maybe not. And here's the thing. If you walk in the door of a house, and I've seen this happen with buyers, where they walk in this house and they fall in love with the house, and then they weigh the other factors, right? Does it matter as much? I don't know. But at the point that they've realized that a house is everything to them, everything they wanted, that decision changes.
I'm just trying to wrap a bow around the whole
yeah.
conversation that we started about
Drones? Yeah.
and minimizing the amount. If I'm on the buyer side,
Yeah.
we're going to spend we will spend a bunch of time on the computer. We will spend a bunch of time on the phone. If the drone isn't there, we're going to be on Google Earth and we're going to look at it and we're going to say, okay, and we're going to say off the list, on the list, off the list, on the list. Because let's face it, whatever we go after, we really want to go after.
Yes.
Because there's potentially multiple offers going on in
How
that.
about this? Home inspection is done by the inspector for the buyer. List of repairs is given to the seller to fix certain items before settlement. What have sellers and buyers done if they cannot get someone to come in and fix the toilet and do the repairs before closing date?
Ooh, great question.
There are various options, truly.
You want
Yeah,
escrow money?
Yes, yep, exactly. Escrow money is the first thing that comes to mind. The
Yeah.
other is
That's when everybody
working
freaks
out that price
Nobody
again.
likes escrow.
So it's just, sometimes it works well, but yeah, it's not always ideal.
So that's why you need a trusted advisor. That's why you need a first-rate, high-quality real estate agent, because they typically have a list of people that can help you get that done. It's also part of the negotiations part of it, Jerry, with the home inspection. You're going to have to say, there's no way we're going to get this done because we had people in on that, and you start dealing with that long before closing. And that's how that usually goes. Okay, how are we going to handle this? Is there money at the table? Usually that's how it works. Hey, here's the quote to fix it, right? Emily knows this because she does this all the time as a client care coordinator, right? This is the quote to fix it, and then the seller will just give money at the thing. That's the better path from my perspective.
Absolutely.
This is a good one.
He's smiling.
This is for Nikki. Nikki saves gas riding her motorcycle to and from homes.
That is true.
That is true.
But here's
I
the
do
thing,
you.
I have to make
Good
sure
job,
that I
Rob.
know what the roads are like. So if there's a bunch of gravel, I'm not taking my ride on that.
Ooh.
So
Well, have you ever put a buyer on your motorcycle and driven with the buyer?
I've never actually put another human being on the back of my ride.
Have you heard of any realtors that do that?
No, and I would think it would
Oh,
not
you
be
should get
very
a
advisable.
You should get a
A
sidecar.
don't.
Get a sidecar.
Do you know the Urals?
Yeah, 'cause you-
Sidecars are dangerous, aren't they?
No, we're talking about motorcycles.
Okay.
What kind of conversation do
So
you think
they're
we're having?
just dangerous in general.
Because you have a Bonneville, right?
I have a Bonnie right now,
Yeah.
but I used to ride an infield, and they have a great sidecar, and Urals are great with sidecars, and I'm not opposed to having a sidecar. That's what I'm saying.
Would you put buyers in a sidecar?
As a general rule, I'm going to say no, and the exception here, my face is saying different things because a lot of my buyers have been my friends, and they could sit in my sidecar, but not because I'm a realtor and they're my buyers, you know? That's a whole different thing.
That would be so awesome.
I'm not putting you in the sidecar.
Thank you. I wouldn't get in even if you offered.
How about this one? This is from Kevin. What are the characteristics you look for in a buyer the first time you meet them, and how do you cater your presentation to meet those characteristics?
Wow.
I imagine this has to happen within minutes.
Seconds, actually. Interesting. It brings up an interesting thing. I just did a safety class.
Dan Pettit wants to ride in your sidecar on your motorcycle.
He'd do it.
Call me Nikki.
Get him the little goggles, and his mustache will be.
Okay, I'll say
it'll be
one
fun.
more thing about riding, and that is that I am a fair weather rider. It is too cold now, maybe on a warm afternoon, but beyond that, my bike is just going to have a little break for a couple months.
There you go. There you go.
So I want to make a safety plug, right?
Yeah,
because this brings up
absolutely.
an interesting conversation, an interesting thought from my perspective. You know, we're talking about on the phone, we're talking about buyers, and you know, this safety is so important from our industry. On that end of it, you know, most folks don't know this, but anywhere between 15 and 20 realtors are killed a year. You know, and what you're doing is you're meeting strange people that you've never met before. But the answer to the question is you pretty much are syncing this up in seconds, right? You know, where they're at on that end of it.
Sizing up a buyer?
Well, you're gonna. Well, I'm trying to tie it into the safety. You're gonna have all these conversations. You're gonna have all these conversations. And pre-qualify the buyer before you actually even meet, right? You're going to do it on the phone. You're going to do it in Zoom. You're going to do it over emails or texts or something like that. You're going to do a lot of pre-qualifications, conversations. You know, I call them the W questions. You know, who, what, when, and where, and why, and throw a how in there and how this is going to work. But by the time you meet, you generally have a good sense of where we're going.
How about, this is a tough one, and you may want to sidestep this one, which you don't have to.
Oh, God.
Grayson, we love when you watch the program, Grayson. A fair question. So you guys are talking about $4 a gallon gas plus. You're talking about not having enough people putting their home on their market, and you're talking about more people moving to this area to look to buy homes. What is the future of realtors in Central Virginia?
How about them Mets, huh? Look, you know, I'll take the stab at it. What the hell? I'll take the bite on it. It's your agents and everybody that's watching, everybody in our organizations. The level of professionalism is gonna have to raise to the top, because it's going to take a lot of professionalism, a lot of caring, a lot of trust. And this is a shout out to Michael Guthrie. Learn these three things from him. Got to be professional, got to be caring, got to be trustworthy. And that's what's going to happen. The cream is going to float to the top, and the ones that are not won't.
Well, and I think there's an aspect that, and you mentioned this in being professionalism, and we mentioned this earlier in bringing your A game. I think you got that whole. Are you familiar with? Of course, you're familiar with the cash flow quadrant, right?
Oh yeah.
Employed, self-employed, business owner, investor, right? So it's one of those where that difference between self-employment and being a business owner is going to really matter.
Sure.
We really need to be business owners. That's going to
Well,
be.
we are
I think,
business
a key.
owners.
We are, but there's that difference in mentality and how you run that business when you're just self-employment versus that being a business owner.
Well, let's face it. 50% of nationwide, 50% of real estate agents have not done one transaction.
Oh, absolutely. And if
Just
we
think
just
about
look within
that.
our local, it's
well, I don't think
it's
it's
not
quite
that bad,
Not
no.
quite 50%, but it's awfully close.
but way more than 50 is still very low numbers at what I would consider
Yeah.
being more of a hobbyist than a business owner.
Yeah, you're basically saying it's a side hustle.
Yeah, and the challenge is that in an industry like real estate, especially as it's changing so quickly, if you're only doing 1 to 3 things a year, then how well are you tied into what's going on?
So that's really interesting. On Nikki, you brought that up on the professionalism, and Emily, I think you see this every day because you're the client care coordination, but the
I think client care coordination is in a very good spot. I think that's in a very good spot, critically important, and I sincerely mean that.
Yes.
I think the proliferation and it's the 3 most competitive spaces of business in this area are restaurants, nonprofits, and realtors. We have a ton of restaurants. We have a ton of nonprofits. We have, is it 1,200 realtors in Carr?
roughly 1,200, 1,300.
Ish.
But those are members, so some of them are not real estate agents.
Yeah.
Some of them are, let's say 1,000 to 1,100.
Those are the 3 most competitive spaces. Client care coordinator is in a really good spot right now with 1,200 plus agents in Carr.
Well, and Emily, I'll let you jump in, and maybe I'll put you on the spot here a little bit. Go figure.
Never.
Never. But, just in the year that we've been together, working together on this, that your level of what you need to get done to get a deal closed has increased dramatically. So I don't think that's going backwards. It's a ton of people. So on a normal transaction, how many people touch a transaction?
Oh, good
From
grief.
the time that we hand you a contract to closing.
At minimum, I would say 5 or 6, and it's gone upward. I mean, we've had some really complex transactions recently. So it can be a lot of moving parts.
So the more people you put in it, the more chances, like building a house, the more chances things go a little bit sideways. And, client care coordination is basically rallying cats. That's on
Herding
the
squirrels.
real estate agent side of the real estate agents.
Let me ask you this question. Of the 1,200 plus realtors in Carr, how many would you say are approaching retirement age?
Wow. What are you two always looking at me with?
Well, what do you guys think?
We
How
were
many
waiting
are
for you to
approaching-
jump under that one first.
Right.
Because
Smith will do it.
one of the nice things about this industry, though, is I think a lot of people turn to this when they're at that point where they're not ready to retire and
But
want to still do
We're not.
something.
What the question is, very frankly, we're not diverse.
I would say the people that are approaching retirement age are the ones most likely to get weeded out first.
Oh, I don't know. So if anything, the
It
conversations
depends.
I've been having with those same people, though, has been, hey, what are your plans for retirement? And a lot of times the answer is I don't know, or they don't know how to use that value that they've built for however many years. And some of them actually need
That's
to
it.
increase their game so that value add is there to be able to sell in some form or fashion what they've built.
I think that transition is very interesting to follow, Jerry. I think you're onto something there. I think that transition of how that retirement's going to go, who's going to come in and fill that space, But
What percentage of realtors in Carr are over 55 years old?
I don't know that
Yeah, I
number,
don't
but
know,
I
I don't know.
and that's
Which ballpark? Back of the napkin.
Oh, gosh.
I don't know.
Half?
I'm stuttering. What, you,
Do you think it's half, Nikki?
look at this.
I
you
think
got
nothing
Smith
on
to
this
stutter.
topic. I'm not answering that
You think
question,
it's-
Jerry.
Okay. Just curious.
Well, that's easy enough to figure out.
I always
but-
think a lot of things. I'm just kidding.
But-
Still not answering.
But here's this.
Here's a great stat. Neil Williamson. I love you, Neil Williamson. He's adding to the discussion. There are over 156,622 real estate agents currently employed in the United States. 53.7% of all real estate agents are women. 42.1% are men. The average age of an employed real estate agent, real estate agent, what do you think the average age is?
57.
What do you think, Emily?
Over 40.
Okay. Close. What's your exact number?
45.
Very good guess. Nikki?
Oh, see, I would go to 50-something, 53.
48.
Really?
And that's the average age.
And how
We're
many
looking at
realtors did he
national,
say
is
it
that what
was?
we're talking about?
156,622.
It's millions. It's not hundreds thousand.
I mean, Neil Williamson is rarely wrong here. Rarely wrong.
I can tell you, there's almost nationwide. There's almost 2 million.
Neil Williamson, follow up on what Keith Smith just said there, if you could, sir. I would bet you half of the agents in Carr are over 50 years old.
We have somewhere between 1.5 and 2 million. I can't remember the exact number. So I think there's a zero missing in that text.
Okay.
I think there's a little bit of a
There's not
perception.
156 million, if that's what you're saying.
No,
This is-
there's 1.6 million.
Okay, he'll follow up on that. Go ahead, Emily. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
That's okay. I think there's a little bit of a perception situation, though, that drives the age of people in real estate, because I was talking to a younger agent who was saying, regardless of the fact that I have X number of years of experience, people automatically assume that I am not as experienced as someone older
good
than
point.
me.
Well, Christopher Eagle said this on the show this past time when it was Christopher Eagle and Michael Plecker. He made the comment, I'm just 28
Yeah.
on the show. And I'm like, dude, 28 is
Yeah.
like, you're in the game,
yes, yeah, absolutely.
You're a professional.
Yes.
He's 28.
You know what I'm saying by that?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. But the perception of the public can be, because someone is younger, they are not necessarily as experienced, and that's a very serious bias, because there are people coming into this industry at a later stage that don't have the same amount of experience as someone younger might.
Very well said.
And that's
Very well said.
And that's why you have mentorships. That's why you have apprenticeships. That's why you're a part of a team. That's why you're part of an organization to help you move it forward. And on that end of it, but the numbers, I would imagine, as far as age goes and percentages, matches ours, right? As far as age goes, average age, and so forth and so on. I think we're.
I'm going to ask Donna Patton, who's watching right now.
Yeah,
Donna Patton.
I think we're close to, if I.
She says 58. Is that the average age of agents in Carr?
So that's
Donna
probably
Patton?
where my 57 came from.
Donna Patton, what is the
Nice.
average age of agents in Carr? Can you put that in the feed for us, Donna? I would really like to know that.
Yeah.
You think it's that?
Well, I had a 57 stuck in my head, and I couldn't remember if it was Carr or National on that end of it. It may be 57,
Okay, let's see what Neil Williams
which means
says.
I'm above average.
You're always, in everything you do, you're above average, Keith
Thank
Smith.
you, Mr. Miller.
So what do you think is going to happen with the retirement of the boomers in real estate?
Well, this boomer's not retiring anytime soon, so that's not going to happen. I think, it's an interesting industry, right? And it's not like we're selling widgets, right?
58, she says, is nationally. She's not sure about Carr.
Got it.
The average age of realtors nationally is 58.
Well, that contradicts Neil's number, though. Neil's number was 47, wasn't it?
Neil's was 48, so we got to get to the bottom of this here.
I
So I do
think
think
we
there's
got.
been a drastic change. I feel like I heard this thrown out in the last couple weeks, and maybe one was from last year, or the next year, something like that. But I do know that there was a big increase in those statistics there.
Okay, so I really got
So
the stat
maybe-
here. You ready for this?
Yep.
Yeah.
This is copied from the National Association of Realtors.
And who sent this?
This is Neil. Copied and pasted from NAR.
So I'm wrong then, obviously.
Copy and pasted from NAR. From NAR, 57, the median age of agents is 53 years again this year, but down from 57 in 2015. Agents that are under 30 years of age is 4% in 2017, double what it was in 2015. The share of members 65 years and older is 17% this year. 65 and older is 17% this year. What was that, Nikki?
So that is this year, because earlier you were talking about 2017 numbers.
Yeah, he says
Okay,
yeah.
so we're doing various.
The share of members under 30 years old with less than 2 years of experience is 12%. Here's what it comes down to.
And by the way, just to add something to that, if Neil can look that up on NAR, how many get out at the first year of business? It's a huge number.
Substantial.
Huge number.
So what it comes
Yeah.
down to is, and we've heard this oftentimes, the barrier of entry to get licensed.
So low.
But
Truly.
But to do it well and do it professionally,
Will take some work and some
that
support.
bar is hard.
and-
That bar is hard. So look, the reality of it is, so we're saying that the average age is 57. You're saying that group of folks are going to be moving out. Who's filling the vacuum? Is that what we're talking about?
Well, here's what I'm saying, is for a healthy, it's just economics, for a healthy ecosystem, you have, I rarely choose my words carefully. For a healthy ecosystem, especially in this market, you have too many. And there's not enough slices of the pie to go around.
Oh, see, that's not accurate though, because so many of those people, like we talked about earlier, really aren't doing business just because they hang a license somewhere.
So Neil this question. Neil, if you're behind the computer and able to do this, or Don is able to do this, out of nationwide, check my number, is 50% actually have not done a transaction? Because that drops that number in half. And does car fit in that percentage thing? Because if that's the case, then it's really only 500 realtors or 600 realtors that are producing.
Well, can I share a number?
Oh, yeah, please.
So
please.
year to date in car, you've got just over 900 that have done something, whether it's one or a half or two.
What was that number again?
Just over 900.
Okay.
I've
It
done
has done
at least
something,
one transaction.
At
So
least
that's
something. It
2/3
could
of
be a
car.
half.
That's 2/3 of car.
right? But most of this, because I'm scrolling, it's in front of my face
sure.
right now. When I scroll up, I'm still scrolling, and these are not numbers people are living off of. I promise you. There's no way. It's
That's
just
what
not
my
possible.
point. So a one transaction is, you can't live off of unless it's a,
$10 million home.
Let's
$100
see.
million
Yeah,
deal or
yeah.
something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, less than 400 of those by a decent amount.
So we're gonna
certain
next Monday. Who I got coming
Yeah.
on this? I have to look on it. Next Monday.
This would be a great topic.
Yeah. Next Monday I'll bring, because we can get into our stats, and
Yeah.
I literally. So look here. Let's face it. In order to make a decent living at this, you're going to have to be somewhere between $4 and $12 million in sales.
All right.
Right. So it's really simple. All you got to take a look at is how many are doing.
Or a
$4 million.
fabulous client care coordinator.
Well, the only reason we can do that is we have a fabulous
Yeah.
client care coordinator.
She's figured out the really good
Slash,
job over
you're
here.
not getting any more money, by the way. Slash,
I think she's great
Keep
on
it
the
coming,
show.
Jerry Kane.
I think
Emily,
she's
negotiate
great.
that girl.
slash, stager. But we'll look at that. That's a simple thing. It's an easy thing to look at.
Yeah.
It's available. Who is selling X dollars and up?
This is what the topic of the show should be.
I
When
got it.
the baby boomers of realtors retire in car, how does that impact the realtor ecosystem and real estate in Central Virginia?
So it's interesting because you have to take a look at this one deal, right? So Keith and Yona are doing 40, 50, whatever it is, units a year. Now we're hitting 65 or 70, and we'll do 2 or 3 just to stay in the market a little bit. But that number just dropped, right, tremendously on top of it. And who's picking up the slack?
I would think it would be millennials and youngers and Gen Zers and youngers that are picking up the slack.
But the issue is that if we don't have enough, this is what I said earlier, and this is something that Carr is really in front of. So I have to give a shout out to Carr.
Yes.
They are the last 2 series of boards, to include the president that's coming in and the incoming president. They're going to focus on diversity in race, diversity in age, diversity, just plain old diversity all the way across the board. So we have to be more representative of the buyer. So the real follow-up question, Mr. Miller, to that is, what is the typical age of the buyer? So if I've got an age...
Millennials or Gen Zers?
And and where's the market going?
Millennials and Gen Zers.
There you go.
And here's a follow-up question, is you can count on 2 hands the amount of Hispanic and African-American realtors in car.
I don't even think you can get 2 hands out of it. It's awfully tight.
Yeah, so what's that? The wheels are turning over there. I see the wheels are turning.
The wheels are turning because that's not okay. It's not representative, and we really need to do more and do better at making things happen. And I'm really glad to hear Keith talk about what he is. And I've been impressed with Carr over the last bit of time too, with how they've been handling.
That is a high.
Williamson is loving this. He says, in quotes, a silver tsunami of boomer retirement in car.
There's a white paper that Mr. Williamson should write.
I mean, that is a topic for like 3 shows, this topic right here.
I wrote
And
it.
get like past car presidents.
I wrote it down.
A Guthrie, a Ramey, a Beckham in this mix, a Woolfolk
I wrote
in
it
the
down.
mix. Dude, and it's buzzing over here. All right, so it's
And I just looked at the clock time.
it's a
so-
45-minute mark over here. How about anything that else is on the brain that should get out there, Emily Funk?
I've said this before and I stand by it, because selling a house can be a very stressful situation. Give yourself the gift of time. If you know it's on your radar, start early, take it a bite at a time.
Amen. Nikki?
Nice. No, I think that's great. I'm really happy to have been on the show today. I think this has been a really amazing topic jumping as always, but I just feel like it was very on point.
You know, it's this is like show 225 or something like this. It never ceases to amaze me, and I say this all the time. When Mr. Miller's fingers are going like this, and his watch is buzzing, and his phone is buzzing, and you know, look, I don't think I give you enough kudos, and I want to do that right now.
Sure.
You know, all that going on, and still follow the conversation, and still throw questions out.
This is 22 years of experience doing this.
It's much more than that. You've got a special skill there.
Thank you kindly. Daniel Pettit said, enjoyed the ladies today on the show. Please bring them back. Ray Cadell said the same thing. Thank you guys for watching the program here. Mr. Guthrie, hello. Earl Smith, hello. Earl Smith is a fan of Nikki Chambless over here.
Hi, Earl.
Yeah, you know Earl.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
okay, he's a fan of you. He's giving you a lot of props on the program.
We go all the way back to Scottsville and music, I'm just saying.
That's what he's saying. And your motorcycles.
Yeah,
And your motorcycles.
yeah, motorcycling, yeah.
This was a good show. Judah Wickauer, the director of the program, getting everything logged in the right way. Keith Smith, Emily Funk, Nikki Chambless, Jerry Miller. This is the Monday Market Monitor presented by Segura Solar, Closure, Title, and Settlement Company, Ally Property Management, Yes Realty Partners, and Keller Williams here on the I Love CVille Network. We will see you in 45 minutes, guys, on the I Love CVille show.
Who do you got?
Take care.
Who do you got today?
You're not supposed to do that.
I'm sorry.
I know, you're not supposed to do that.